Starbucks raises the price of your favorite latte. Do you keep buying it? Switch to your local kopitiam or buy both but less of each? That decision, how you trade off between two things when prices or income change, is exactly what indifference curves and budget lines help us understand. Today I am going to break down one of the most visual topics in economics. An indifference curve shows all the combinations of two goods that give a consumer the same level of satisfaction. You are indifferent, equally happy, between any point on the curve. Imagine you are choosing between coffee and bubble tea every week. You could have 5 coffees and 1 bubble tea, or 3 coffees and 3 bubble teas, or 1 coffee and 5 bubble teas. If all 3 combinations make you equally happy, they all sit on the same indifference curve. The curve slopes downward, because to get more of one good, you must give up some of the other. And it is bowed inward because of diminishing marginal utility. The more coffee you already have, the less you value another coffee. So you need a lot more coffee to compensate for giving up 1 bubble tea. Now we move on to talk about the budget line. Your budget line shows all the combinations of 2 goods you can afford with your current income and given prices. If you have 20 ringgit a week, and coffee costs 4 ringgit and bubble tea costs 5 ringgit, your budget line shows every possible combination you can buy with exactly 20 ringgit. Spend it all on coffee, you get 5 cups. Spend it all on bubble tea, you get 4 cups. Or any combination in between. The budget line is a straight line, and you cannot go beyond it. That is your spending limit. What happens when your income increases? For normal goods, goods you buy more of when you earn more, the budget line shifts outward. You can now afford more of both goods. Think about eating out. When your income rises, you go to restaurants more often. You upgrade from economy rice to a proper sit-down meal. The whole budget line moves outward, parallel to the original. But what about inferior goods? Inferior goods are things you buy less of when your income rises, because you can now afford better alternatives. Think about instant noodles. When you are a student with no money, you eat instant noodles every day. When you get a job and earn more, you switch to proper meals. You buy fewer instant noodles. So for inferior goods, when income rises, the budget line shifts outward overall. But your consumption of the inferior good actually falls. You move to a higher indifference curve, but away from the inferior good. Now what happens when the price of one good changes? 2 things happen simultaneously, the substitution effect and the income effect. Let us take them one at a time. The substitution effect: when the price of coffee rises, bubble tea becomes relatively cheaper, so you substitute away from coffee and buy more bubble tea instead. This happens regardless of whether you feel richer or poorer. It is purely about relative prices. The income effect: when the price of coffee rises, your real purchasing power falls. Even though your actual income has not changed, you can afford less overall. You feel poorer, so you cut back on spending. For normal goods, this means you buy less of both goods when price rises. For inferior goods, feeling poorer actually means you buy more of the inferior good, because you can no longer afford the better alternative. For normal goods, both effects work in the same direction. Price of coffee rises. Substitution effect: switch to bubble tea, buy less coffee. Income effect: feel poorer, buy less coffee. Combined result: you definitely buy less coffee. This is why demand curves for normal goods slope downward. Higher price always means lower quantity demanded. For inferior goods, the 2 effects work in opposite directions. Price of instant noodles rises. Substitution effect: switch away from instant noodles, buy less. Income effect: feel poorer, buy more instant noodles because you cannot afford proper meals. The 2 effects partially cancel each other out. Usually the substitution effect wins, so demand still falls when price rises, but the relationship is weaker than for normal goods. And then there are Giffen goods, the most unusual case in all of economics. A Giffen good is an inferior good where the income effect is so strong it completely overwhelms the substitution effect. When the price rises, you actually buy more of it. The classic example is bread or rice during extreme poverty. When rice prices rise, poor families in parts of China and India feel so much poorer that they cannot afford meat or vegetables anymore. So they buy even more rice because it is still the cheapest source of calories they have. Price goes up, quantity demanded goes up. This violates the normal law of demand, and it only happens in very specific extreme conditions. Now here is where we have to be honest about this whole theory. Limitation 1. Consumers are not always rational. Emotions, habits, social pressure, and impulse buying all get in the way of calculated decision-making. Limitation 2. Indifference curves only model choices between two goods. But in real life, consumers choose between thousands of goods simultaneously. Limitation 3. Indifference curves are a theoretical concept. You cannot actually draw someone's real indifference curve. You cannot measure satisfaction in precise numbers. It is impossible to model in practice. The theory gives us a useful framework, but it is a massive simplification of how real humans actually behave. So, indifference curves and budget lines give us a powerful visual way to understand consumer choice. But like all economic models, they work best when we remember what they leave out. Full study notes and past paper practice at examplersport.online. Link is in the description. See you in the next one.